Hello Internet, this is Northchild76 and welcome to my summer project. What we have is a 1989 Mazda B2600i standard cab 5-speed manual transmission. This truck came to me from my neighbor, not running or driving. Got it for, well, I got it pretty darn cheap. And the issues were that the fuel pump was toast, and so I had to rebuild that, not very expensive. And it wasn't driving because the clutch cylinders were rusted out and needed replaced. Did that, bled the clutch, and it was running and driving for less than 100 bucks. The bed was rusted out, so I ended up pulling that off. Plan was really originally just to build a flatbed for it and run it like it is as a farm truck. But when I started pulling up the carpeting, I got to see how bad the rust really was, and it is pretty bad. Yeah, you can see the grass through there. The other side's under the carpet or under the sound deadener. It's almost as bad, but the bed was that way too. So got on the old Craigslist and was looking for a donor cab or something like that where I could pull the floor pans out and weld them into this truck. And I came across this blue one, a 1991 B2600i 2-wheel drive automatic, complete for everything except the engine and transmission, because the guy who had it was trying to shove a Chevy 350 in it, which people do, it's not unheard of, but he couldn't get it running, got fed up with it, sold it to me for $300. The cool part is this truck, it's a 1991, I think 138,000 miles maybe, spent its entire life in Greensboro, North Carolina. Never seen off-road, no rust, no dents. The interior is maybe 80%, but look at these seats. They've got some stains, but the interior is nice. Unfortunately, he pulled out all the environmental when he was doing whatever he was doing, but I have that in the other truck. And it even has the stock Mazda Clarion tape deck, which I think works. And I have some 20-year-old mix tapes that I'm gonna rock when this thing is running. Anyway, so the plan now, here's the back. Let me see if I can pull this up. There we go. There's the back. Little stains in the carpet. Even the carpet's in good shape. So the plan now is to swap out this nice, shiny, straight blue extra cab for the janky black standard cab. And I've seen this done with Toyotas, but I haven't seen it done on a Mazda. So I am documenting it. The only fabrication issues I think I'm going to have is that the cab mounts are 16 inches farther back on the extra cab. So I'm going to have to move the cab mounts back here and re-weld those, cut and remove this forward bed mount. But I was going to put a flatbed on it anyway. And the back of the extra cab will wind up about right here. I'm also going to need the fuel tank for this from this truck, because it's flattened out to go underneath the extra cab. And I've already pulled the quadrant and the brake out of this truck, and that'll go in that cab. The transmission and everything is staying with the chassis. We're using this complete chassis, but as you can see, that whole brake and clutch quadrant already came out. Interestingly, if we go back to this other truck, there are already holes in the firewall for the clutch cylinder. So far, everything is pretty much plug and play. I looked at the area where the brake quadrant goes, and all the holes are there for that. I'm not anticipating a whole lot of issues with this. The guy done some cutting on the front for the radiator support, which I've seen done when they pull, when they're trying to put big engines in these. That'll either get bolted back on or welded together. It's not a real critical area. I am going through this entire chassis and rebuilding the suspension and cleaning it up. I've got the left side mostly pulled apart. I still got to pull the control arms off, but the CV half shafts are in good shape. I've already got most of the ball joints off. I've got a whole new replacement suspension system, basically from Rock Auto, using Mevotech on Moot parts. I've still got to cut the sway bar link off, that's rusted. But I'm going to pull these off, clean them up, replace all the bushings, and clean everything up. I've started on the back. As you can see, we've already got new shocks in. The frame's been cleaned up a lot, gone through it with a wire wheel, wire brush. Got most of the paint off, shot it with rust reformer, hit it with some black, flat black paint. And so it's looking pretty good. I got my test LEDs wired up. Those are gonna be the back lights, nice LED lights. Got all those mocked up. Everything's working there like it should. Need to clean up the back axle. This fuel tank, which I spent a whole bunch of time cleaning up, is gonna have to go because it's too tall in the front. I've got a little thrush turbo muffler for it, which is gonna go on. And we got to get the front of the frame looking pretty much like the back of the frame. But interestingly, the frame's not in too bad a shape. It had some surface rust, but nothing rusted through at all. So I think once we get this cab off, we'll be able to go to town on that and get it all together. And then once we're said and done, we're not using this bed right here. We're not using this bed. We're going to go ahead and do it with our original plan of fabricating up a flatbed. And I'm going to go with a completely wooden flatbed. I'm actually going to run 4x6s across the original bed mounts here and here, and I'm going to use this one, what's one, and that one are getting removed. I am going to probably take the tops of those and weld in another support probably right here over the back axle. So we'll have 4 supports with 4x6s. We'll run 1.5 inch 2x8s laterally and do some 2x8 skirting, and that should do pretty well for us. We'll have 7 inches of tire clearance. These are 31-inch tires. We'll have 6 inches between the top of the tire and the very bottom of the bed. We'll have to trim this one on the inside, but these back ones should be fine. We might cut them just a little bit, and that's about it. I'm actually going to wind up cutting this bumper on the ends right here and rounding it off. I'm going to leave this because this is a tow point. These things don't have a really high tow capacity, but you know, it's got like 2,000, 1,800 pounds. But also it's going to keep cars from running up underneath it. I'm just going to cut it on the ends and round it off and make it look nice and paint it. But what I'm planning on doing, so the back bed will come about this high, but I'm going to have like maybe a 2x10 right here and do some nice 45s or whatever. And I think it'll look pretty nice. Like I said, I've never seen this done with a Mazda. I've only ever seen it done with Toyotas. So if anybody has any questions or comments who've done this before, I would love to hear it, because I don't know if I'm in over my head on this. I'll show you where I am right now with the engine, because I am ready, almost ready to pull this cab. I've gone through and pulled all my electrical connections, most of my hoses, and what I did was, let me see if I can find an example. Sorry, I keep clicking my teeth. But I've marked everything with a yellow paint pen and taken lots of pictures. The only things I have left to do is I have to disconnect the clutch cable, or the clutch hose down here, the brake lines underneath, and the emergency brake cable. And then we'll be ready to pull this cab off. And this cab is pretty much toast. I'm gonna pull what I need from it.